Hi, in this video, we want to take a look at simple moving averages and exponential moving averages. All right, so what we want to do, we want to take a mathematical model to see how things are going overall on average over time for a time series. Specifically, we're going to look at Amazon stock prices, specifically the closing price. All right, so the example that we're going to go over is modified from Clifford Ang's book, Analyzing Financial Data and Implementing Financial Models Using R. Here is the Amazon link, and here is the publisher's website, so you can go grab the book. All right, so first thing I'm going to do before I can do this, I need to have data, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and load the ticker data. I'm going to use batch get symbols. Well, it's a batch get symbols package, and I'm going to use the namesake function of batch get symbols function to get the closing price of Amazon. Now, something else I'm going to do is I'm only going to print out 2 significant digits. That way we don't get blasted in the face by numbers. And I'm going to only get the Amazon ticker values. I'm not going to worry about any of the other possible stocks for this. And so I grab the ticker input, which is Amazon, and then I'm going to say I want everything going from a year and a month ago to today for my data. Now, something about this. When I'm doing moving averages, if I need, so a moving average, I'm going to take like the last 20 terms, the last 30 terms involved in my moving average. Okay, well, if I'm taking the last 20 and my data, ends, well, it can't go, for the very first value in my data set, it can't take the previous 20 values. And so I'll end up losing data off of this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull data a little bit farther back than what I'm interested in. I'm interested in going 1 full year back in time. Now I'm going to do a 20-day moving average. So I need to go at least 20 days further back than that. I went ahead and picked 30 just because a month is just a more round number. And remember, when we're using batch get symbols, there's 2 items or 2 aspects of the list that gets returned. The first one is about performance of the pulling of the data. The second one's the actual data we want, and it's called data frame tickers. All right, so now here's the feedback that we get back from R, letting us know that we got the data we wanted. That's good. And I can take a look at my data. So here are the first 6 rows. Down here is the last 6 rows. Here is the price of open, high, low, closing, volume, adjusted price, reference date, the ticker, and then returns. Okay, so for us, what we're really interested in is the closing price and the reference date. Those are the 2 big ones for us. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim down the data down to just the ticker, the date, and the closing price. And I'm doing this so that I'm working on a smaller data set. If I was doing a project that would require like a lot of heavy computations, it's good to trim down my data sets only what I'll be working with. I'm going to call my data frame M for matrix. All right, so the simple moving average is just the regular average that we learned about in elementary school applied to the last, K terms. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take the last K terms, add them up, divide by K, and that's going to be my simple moving average. And so for every date, I take the previous, or the previous, like let's say K-1 and today's information, and then I take the average and I keep on rolling with it. And so we'll call it a rolling mean because it's an average that updates as time goes on. And so I'm going to use I'm going to use the zoo package roll mean. Now, if you look at Clifford's book, he used a roll apply, which is an excellent way to do it. Roll mean would probably be the better choice since I know I'm taking the mean. His approach is actually more flexible, but if I want speed, I want specialized functions. So either way works for what we're working on. His way is more flexible. My way would be by using roll mean instead of roll apply, it will be a little bit faster. All right, so here's the data that I want to take the moving average of. Here are how many terms I want used. And remember that I can't take the average of all my data points. So the very first data point that I don't have the previous 19 observations because that's my first data point. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say missing value on those guys. Now, I pulled extra data in so that when I have these missing values, it's not going to be an issue. I can just throw it away. Now, let's look at exponential moving average. So previously, on all the terms that were in the average, they all had equal influence. I add them all up and I divide them together. Here, what we're going to do, we're going to do a weighted average. What we're going to do, we're going to say that the most recent observation has the most weight, and then later ones, or like older observations, will have less influence in the calculation. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to take my most recent value, I'm going to multiply it by a constant, and I'm going to take the previous moving average, I'm going to multiply that by 1 minus that weight. And so what this will do, this sets it up so that older observations have less influence, more recent observations have more influence. Now that makes sense, right? And so I'm going to use the TTR package, and then I'm going to use EMA for exponential moving average, and I'm setting it to 20 days. All right, so at this point, I've gone through and I've gotten the moving averages attached to my data sets. Now, I only want to look at the previous year, and I pulled in an extra 30 days because I wanted to do a 20-day moving average. Okay, so on this step right here, I filter out values that are older than a year. So I go, if the date is greater than or equal to the day minus 365, then I keep it. Otherwise, I get rid of it. So the oldest data points are removed from the data set. Now, for the purpose of for the purpose of ggplot, I need to tidy up my data. And so currently, I have price, I have simple moving average, I have exponential moving average. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to stack them on top of each other. Why am I going to do that? Because that's how ggplot likes the data to be presented. And I really don't need to do this step, but it makes the plot easier to read. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to say that my price closing simple moving average and exponential moving average, I'm going to order those so that when I plot, the legend makes a little bit more sense. I like to have the original data appearing first. And so when on the legend, it'll be price, close, then simple moving average, then exponential. And let's plot the results. So I'm going to use ggplot, and X is the date, Y is the price, and the color corresponds to, is it the original data? Is it simple moving average? Is it exponential moving average? And we get a warning message because the most recent, if I look here, the most recent values, I can't take 20 values to get an average. And so what R did was for my most recent days where it wasn't possible to get a simple moving average, it just said no value. And so we can see here that the red ends before the blue and the black. And so here I can see what's going on. So the black is the actual closing price. The red is a simple moving average. And the blue is the exponential moving average. All right, well, that's all I've got for you. Take care and goodbye.